The phantoms return. Some ghosts refuse to stay buried. And when they rise, they don't ask for permission. Madison Cole stood silently at the towering wrought iron gates of Belridge Academy. The air was thick with a sense of tradition, privilege, and silent judgment. As her fingers reached instinctively for the silver locket around her neck, a keepsake from her late grandmother, who had once challenged segregation with grace, she felt the invisible weight of history pressing down. That morning, her mother, Lorraine Cole, had asked her one final time, "You sure about this place, Maddie? You don't have to prove anything." But Madison had stood firm. "This scholarship is my shot. I can handle a few rich kids." Now, under the shadow of ivy-draped stone buildings, she realized a few had become a system, a centuries-old structure designed not to challenge, but to preserve the status quo. Madison, one of only a handful of black students in a school of 500, tightened her grip on her books and braced herself. In AP Literature, her analysis of Morrison's beloved silenced the room. Not because it was unwelcome, but because someone dared bring depth they didn't expect from a girl like her. At the back of the room, Tristan Holloway, golden boy, mayor's son, arrogant in his certainty, whispered something to his entourage. Later, as he accidentally knocked her books down, he smirked and muttered, "Guess they're handing out scholarships for charity now." Madison said nothing. That silence, her refusal to give him power through reaction, burned deeper than any retort. But Belridge didn't just run on words. It ran on structure, on inherited connections, silent alliances, and selective blindness. And the deeper Madison went, the more she saw. Her only relief came in the form of Zoe Sanders, a whip-smart sophomore and daughter of the school's janitor. "My dad mops the halls they walk on," Zoe said, grinning. "I've got nothing to lose. You? You just became the variable they didn't predict." But what Belridge didn't know was that Madison came from a lineage they couldn't begin to understand. They thought her father, Ezekiel Cole, a Green Beret sniper with a classified kill count, was dead. That he had vanished after a mission gone wrong. But he hadn't died. He had disappeared to protect his family, to keep shadows away from his daughter's future. That shadow now returned. As the harassment intensified, vandalized lockers, falsified social media, threats hidden under layers of privilege, Madison documented it all. She met with the school board, presented evidence, endured their thinly veiled dismissal. Maybe, one of them suggested, she's just not adjusting well. But they weren't dealing with a girl alone anymore. When her fake social profile flooded the school with altered images and false accusations, when her mother lost her job without warning, when a dead rat appeared at her locker with the words, "Go back to where you belong," Ezekiel came back. Quietly, precisely, like he had never left the war zone, only moved to another battlefield. To Belridge, he was a ghost. To Madison, he was the storm. His first visit to Principal Ellison's office didn't involve shouting. It involved a jammer, a small device on the desk, and a quiet voice that said, "I can be anywhere in this building without you knowing. But I choose to be here, with evidence." Ellison turned pale, not because of threats, because he realized the institution's immunity had expired. Madison continued her fight with composure. When Tristan's crew tripped her in the cafeteria and the video went viral under the hashtag charity case, she didn't scream. She stood, straightened her clothes, and walked out. Later that night, Ezekiel flattened the tires on Tristan's Range Rover. No damage, just precision. A message. Then came the court summons. Ezekiel arrested for assault after defending Madison from 4 boys lying in wait near the gym. The town rallied for the mayor's son. Local media painted Ezekiel as unstable. The real target, they said, was Belridge's proud legacy. But Ezekiel was always a tactician. While in holding, he released Phase 1. Encrypted files showing years of suppressed complaints, misuse of public funds, and emails between the mayor, judge, and principal covering up abuse. When a regional journalist leaked a recording of Tristan boasting about framing another girl, and his father's help covering it, Belridge erupted. Within 72 hours, Judge Raines resigned. Principal Ellison was placed on leave. The mayor faced a grand jury investigation. But the climax came when Madison stood at a town hall meeting, locket around her neck, voice unwavering. My father defended this country. I defended myself. The difference is, I didn't need a weapon. I needed the truth. The town listened. For the first time in generations, it listened. By year's end, Belridge had a new leadership team. Madison chaired the ethics committee. A student once ridiculed for speaking up now helped rewrite policy. Tristan, his father in jail, his college offers withdrawn, faced trial for harassment and obstruction. He had underestimated the girl with soldier's blood and her silent army. And Ezekiel? He returned to the shadows, not because he had to, but because Madison no longer needed protection. She had become a force on her own. Some ghosts never rest. Others rise to show us who we've always been. And one, once thought buried, returned not for revenge, but for justice. The Phantom's Legacy, Part 2. The rain slicked the Harvard cobblestones in a mirror sheen as Aaliyah Carter walked briskly across the yard, her notebook clutched against her chest. 1 year into her pre-law major, and the ghosts of Westfield still haunted her. Not in fear, but in conviction. Every lecture on constitutional law, every case study on judicial overreach, she saw reflections of the battle she and her family had fought. Tonight, though, something fell off. When she entered her dorm room, she found a crisp envelope slid under her door. No name, just a seal, red wax, pressed with an unfamiliar symbol, a weeping eagle with a dagger across its chest. Inside was a card. You dismantled one house of cards. But the game was bigger than Westfield. Play again. No signature. No return address. But tucked in the back was a flash drive labeled Project Ivory. Her instincts, honed not just in classrooms but in the war zone of Westfield, kicked in immediately. She didn't plug the drive in her laptop. Instead, she messaged Dexter. 30 minutes later, the two sat in a discreet corner of Harvard's law library. Dexter had enrolled at MIT and was still Aaliyah's most trusted friend and digital bloodhound. Sandboxed virtual machine, he said, typing with rapid precision. Let's see what they want you to find. When the contents opened, they found hundreds of documents, financial records, internal memos, transcripts of encrypted calls, all tied to a massive federal education grant program. What began as a legitimate effort to support underserved schools had been corrupted, siphoning millions into shell corporations controlled by familiar names: Klein, Callaway, and a new one, Crescent Group Holdings. Aaliyah leaned forward. Crescent Group? She murmured. Never heard of it. Dexter's eyes narrowed. You should have. He tapped a few more keys. Their CEO is Marissa Langston, former Pentagon procurement officer. And guess who her general counsel is? He turned the laptop. Aaliyah's heart dropped. Logan Hastings. Except now he went by LJ. Langston. Rebranded. Relocated. Reborn. The next day, Aaliyah met with her ethics law professor, Dr. Mira Hossein, a woman with an impeccable resume, a soft voice, and eyes that missed nothing. When Aaliyah mentioned the drive and its contents, Dr. Hossein didn't react with surprise. Only a sigh. I was wondering when this would land on your doorstep, she said. You knew. I know that Crescent has been targeting voices like yours, activists, reformers, those who have credibility with the public. They don't just crush opposition anymore. They redirect it. She leaned forward. They want you involved, either as a pawn or a threat, and you'll have to decide which. That night, Aaliyah found another envelope. This one slid directly into her backpack during a seminar. A simple message. There's a file in Langston's office. 3rd floor. 11 p.m. Tonight. You'll need what's inside. No choice. She texted Dexter. We're going in. The office building was modern, anonymous, built to deflect attention. Getting in required a level of stealth that only someone trained by Caleb Carter could attempt. Aaliyah handled the door codes. Dexter looped the cameras. They reached the 3rd floor without alert. But the office wasn't empty. A man sat behind the desk. Mid-50s. Close-cut silver hair. Military posture. The kind of silence that screamed lethal experience. You're early, he said. Aaliyah didn't flinch. And you're not Logan. No, I'm the reason Logan's out of prison, and why he'll never see the inside of one again. Unless you do something. He slid a folder across the desk. Inside, a sealed deposition from Judge Klein. It implicated half a dozen former Westfield officials in federal bribery schemes. But there was more. At the bottom, a memorandum signed by Marissa Langston. Phase 2. Infiltrate public university boards. Redirect social justice influencers. Neutralize outliers via character defamation or private leverage. One name was highlighted, Aaliyah Carter. Dexter's hands clenched. They planned for you. The man nodded. Crescent doesn't lose quietly. And your father? He knew this day would come. He stood. He left something for you. From a hidden compartment, he pulled a sealed envelope. Inside, in Caleb's unmistakable handwriting, legacy isn't built on battles fought, but those chosen. The systems don't fear your strength. They fear your clarity. Trust yourself. The second war is won differently. And this time, I'm not your sword. You are. Aaliyah and Dexter walked out into the Boston night, the weight of truth heavier than anything Westfield ever threw at them. But she didn't feel fear. Not this time. She felt ready. Above them, the Crescent Group logo glowed across a glass tower. Beneath it, Aaliyah whispered, "Let's begin."